What's up, everybody? This is the Sanrenmu M1. I have seen this knife for as low as 13 something dollars, and that price is insultingly low for a knife that quality. It is very funky looking. I actually got this one offered in a trade a couple months back. Then I thought, well, the looks I didn't really warm up to the looks. Kind of a cool clip though. But you know, this swelling there, and it's just a very funky look. Looks like a bit of a recurve. Also some humps in the blade spine, But then I looked closer and saw that the availability was dropping. That one was quite hard to get actually a couple weeks back when I finally pulled the trigger on it. I bought mine for around 15 euros and 50 cents, I think. And I was lucky because I know the seller and I have bought from him many times. I'm sorry, my background is kind of dirty. It's HCR13 MOV steel from Sanrenmu. It is a non-locking knife. But wait a minute, you heard it click in the beginning, right? So it is a non-locking knife. Yet it clicks. And that is why, I hope you can see that, maybe I can give you some light. That's too bright, maybe that. Whew, that's hard to see. Is it better from in here? Yeah, I think you can see them. There are two detent balls. One on this side, one on this side, right where my nail is. Two detent balls. Both those liners are pretty much solid, but there is a cutout in the middle, and that cutout looks basically, let me draw it for you. So if that is the liner from the inside, yes, it looks a little bit like a dig, haha. There are cutouts that look like that. And there is a detent ball, which means it basically has two liner locks, but not the liner themselves engage, but the detent balls that are situated on the sides of the liner. So both those liners click in a little bit, but not the upper part from the liner engages, but the detent ball, which doesn't mean it's a lock. So it's kind of a new mechanism. It's kind of ingenious because you have quite a strong retention until it breaks, and it kind of clicks securely into place. So you have those two liners that engage in the middle. So that's very cool. The blade is hollow ground. Well, let's keep the paper for a quick cutting demo. Hope it still works. Yes, oh, like a charm. Because Sanrenmu knives are very well hardened, most of the time at least. They are very good in fit and finish. It just says M1, and the Sanrenmu logo has a one-sided non-reversible pocket thumb stud. It is reversible, but notice this portion here is the cutout for the thumb stud, so you don't have that on the other side. So right side tip down only. Maybe if you have been watching my videos, you wonder, wow, why is this a tip down knife? He hates tip down knives. Tip down only knives. Yes, I do. But since I mod basically every knife I get to make it more legal or legal to carry, I thought this was something worth trying. The fit and finish, as I told you, is very, very nice. This is probably Beat Blasted G10. It is very smooth, and that is basically the only downside, if I really think about it, that it is very smooth. So I got it yesterday. I carried it all day yesterday, and today, of course. And the only problem I had was when it was, you know, cold. Haven't been held in a while. Sitting in my pocket, I extracted it. I had no problems with the orientation, you know, tip down carry. It's a very nice size, very nice weight, even though the liners are pretty much not milled out except for very small portions. It is full flow through design, doesn't have a back spacer. The blade isn't too thick, but the only trouble, if you will, I had was gripping it right, gripping it tight enough to engage it fast on the first try. But maybe that's just, you know, muscle memory. I'm kind of used to more grippy knives, but this is smooth and it totally fits with the motif of the knife. I think the pocket clip is excellent, a little bit spoon shaped. Plenty strong, doesn't rip up your pocket because the material of the handle scales is smooth. The hardware is done right. I think every screw moves. I played a little bit with the pivot because it was a little bit stiff when I got it, but that might just have been from, you know, transit from China. You can get it from AliExpress or what are they called? Fast. I really don't remember the name of the website, but for around $13, $14 shipped free. So they may be in transit for 4 weeks or so, maybe a little bit greasy from the factory, so they might be a little bit stiff. So I just played a little bit with the pivot. I adjusted it so that the blade centering is near perfect, and yet it is just a nice deployment and no side-to-side play. If you loosen the pivot, of course side-to-side play will start to be a problem, but not with this one. Even, I know it sounds very stupid, up and down play, because I use quite a bit of force. And the two detent balls that engage, that lock, it's a detent lock in my book, but not technically, because you don't have to disengage anything, you just have to overcome that pressure, and you can close it. They engage very, very tight, so you don't have up and down play like that. And you can see my fingers from the pressure. It's very nice. The spine, you might have noticed, is rounded. The jimping is rounded on the side. It is very, very, very clean. My camera won't do it justice, but the jimping is functional yet very comfortable, and it blends in very nicely with the rounded spine, which looks very classy, very high value. Of course, the Chris Reeve Sabanzas are very popular with their rounded spines. A lot of knife makers are doing that with their custom knives. And notice the shape of the handle. Now your thumb naturally lands there. It is not a small knife. I have large hands, and still a little bit is poking out on the bottom. Has a lanyard hole, but for tip down knives it just doesn't make sense for me, and the handle is plenty long. So my thumb naturally lands in that dent, which is perfect because I don't have to apply pressure from the spine of the blade, which might, I'm not even trying, might close the blade on you. So you have that jimping, you can really press down there and, you know, the angle just doesn't close the knife. This swelling here feels a little bit weird, but you get used to it very, very quickly. So you have that indentation, that large choil, that curved portion for your 3 other fingers besides your pointer. And your pointer goes naturally goes, you know, a little bit oblique into that crevice where the thumb stud is situated in closed position. Wow, big words today. And it does feel comfortable. If you play with it a little bit, you will find a way to hold it comfortably. This is a comfortable way for me to hold it. This is a very new offering from Sanrenmu. It has been out of stock very often lately. So I suggest if you can get it for under $20, 20 US dollars, this is an insane value for the money. Insane. And according to the blade length, I think this might be even UK legal. Let me check. I usually hate to do that. 3 inches. Exactly 3 inches of cutting edge. Overall, it's, well, 6 to here, and then about 7.5 almost inches overall length. I have some other knives on the table to show you. This is the Enlan EL02, and this one has also, I think this one is micarta. I actually don't really know, but the color is pretty much the same, although the finish on this one, on the Sanrenmu, is even smoother. It is a little bit rounded in that dimension. I don't think you can see that, but it is very well rounded. Of course, the corners are, no, they are not sharp at all. This portion on the liner was a little bit sharp, so I just had to sand it off a little bit, and it's fine now. So, size comparison of those two. The EL02 is larger, but this one is this is a full-sized knife. This is a really big knife. Also, the Navy K611. This one has pretty much the same texture to it. This one looks up close like it has a little bit of, you know, like wood grain, but the tactile feeling I get is pretty much the same. Those scales are very flat, those ones are rounded, you know, a little bit more 3D. Very much the same size actually. This one is a backlog. And yeah, my lamp is kind of sucky. So this one is also a full-size knife. Well, not super full size, but I can get a full hand grip. Very comfortable, very good knife. Quite a thick grind, actually. This one has a very lean grind, hollow grind, much like the Sanrenmu 763. You can see the blade shapes. Very good hollow grind. I usually dislike it, but for that price point, I really take what I can get, and this is done right, especially with that, you know, very clean, very functional and high-end looking jimping and rounded spine. It's just handsome. And the handle shape, well, you kind of have to get used to it, or you don't get the knife at all, but I highly recommend to do that if you cannot legally own, you know, locking knives and, well, carry them. Deployment is very fast, but it takes a turn on your thumb there, so skin rubs off after time, but that's just a price you have to pay when you know, flick this knife. It's a really good size, good weight. I will weigh it after this video, and annotate it. Oh, that was bad. Okay, so yeah, you have to get used to it because the thumb stud is very, very much, very near to the actual scale. So you really have to, you know, press your thumb on there and press, and my thumb is hurting. And to engage the blade. Engage a blade to deploy the blade. This one is a CRKT Centofonte Tribute 2. Those are very similar. Actually, this finish is a little bit more similar to the one on the Navy. Oh man, my lighting sucks, I'm sorry. You can of course buy me new camera gear. So just a very quick size comparison. This one is a bird hawkbill. Pretty much the same handle as the bird meadowlark, and the bird meadowlark is pretty much the same size as the Spyderco Delica. So it is larger than a Delica. It's not overly thick, it's actually quite thin. Close construction on this one. And this is the Bird Caracara 2. And this one is basically the same size as the Spyderco Endura, so that might give you a good size comparison. So it's just between the Delica and the Endura. Blade length wise, I think this is a 3.5 inch, this is a 3 inch. And I have an Opinel knife here, Opinel number 8. So those are pretty much the same size, exactly. From top to bottom. Very nice knife. As all knives I just showed you. So if you can overcome the weird look of the handle, it is very weird. At first I had a little bit of trouble to think about where my pointer finger should land, but just, you know, picking it up, it naturally lands there, and you have kind of that swell below, and then the rest of your fingers land there. You can bear down on it. You can really use that like a knife should be used. The clip doesn't interfere. No hot spots that I have noticed, because it's not sticking out too much, and it just fits into that dent in my hand. You know, that meat doesn't dig in too much. Of course, this is not a knife you would split wood with. This is a very nice choice for EDC, especially for folks that can't carry locking knives. So I really hope you enjoyed this review. You got a little bit of a closer look. Maybe you have seen that knife, thought about getting it, but the looks just weren't right, because it is different from everything from all the other knives out there. It is different, but different doesn't always mean bad, especially with that ingenious detent ball lock, detent lock, which doesn't make it a locking knife because you don't have anything mechanical to disengage. It is a nice knife, and I will definitely keep it. I do not regret overpaying for it, overpaying 15 euros instead of $13. I don't regret it. It is a good knife. I thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching all 20 minutes of this video. If you haven't, well, I certainly hope you got something useful out of this. Thanks again. Have a good night. Roll Tide.